Friends, I just pressed the let's go live button, which means we've got to wait for the stream to fire up all across the fruited plain of the internet before we go ahead and get started. Got to make sure those tubes are connected, and it looks like they are almost, and there they are. And now it is time to get started. So let's go ahead and do it, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Govea, and today we're talking about an insurrection again at the Capitol. And it's like, my gosh, how many insurrections have we had now? We just got done talking about Jamal Bowman, who we still are concerned about his reading capabilities, given the fact that he can't properly distinguish what a fire alarm looks like from a switch or something. But now we've got another insurrection. The greatest attack on American democracy since the Civil War took place again today in the Capitol building, and we're going to talk about it. It was led by this woman, known as Rashida Tlaib, who is part of the squad, the gals over in Congress, and she was out there on the outskirts of the Capitol building, where many other people were at some point, also talking about grievances that they have against their government. But in this case, Rashida Tlaib is actually making some threats against Joe Biden. In fact, she said that they're not going to forget what they've done. And Joe Biden is scheduled today, right now, just a couple hours from now, from this moment, to actually go out and deliver an Oval Office address. And so we're going to see what this insurrection looks like from Rashida Tlaib, because Marjorie Taylor Green was on the scene when these pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas, we don't even know what was going on, but we do know that they were in a text group called Global Intifada, which means global uprising or global rebellion. And so Marjorie Taylor Green is going to be there in the halls of Congress explaining exactly what went down. And so put the kids to bed, my friends, because we've got another attack on America. But you know, this one is actually interesting because you could make the argument that there are some connections to an actual literal terrorist group called Hamas, designated a terrorist group, whereas on the J6 cases, all they did is just blame Trump voters, okay, MAGA extremists, whatever the heck that is. So we'll get into all of that shortly. But we've also got an update today on what's happening in the Trump trial out of New York City. Trump was there again, and we've got a couple tweet threads to go through. Inside the courtroom, Trump is there, and you're going to notice Alina Abba is in a turtleneck. I've got some comments about that. But Trump also came out and he said that the government has been caught in a big lie, and so he'll explain that, and then we'll tune in over to Adam Klasfeld and see what he says about the trial, because he was actually there live tweeting the thread, and so we'll go into all of that. Trump also blasts the judge, and we'll see if there's any ramifications for that. But all that coming up in the second segment. And then finally, we're going to talk about Congress. It's kind of been a mess over there, and we hit this morning on our members only stream. But we've also got James Comer from the Oversight Committee now sending a letter over to the special counsel for Joe Biden, Robert Hur. And he's demanding answers about some of those documents that we think that they covered up when Joe Biden's lawyers were just using their personal email addresses and their personal cell phones to do classified document business and so on and so forth. And so we're going to hear from James Comer. We're going to check in with Congress. We're going to hear from Trump and, of course, talk about the insurrection. But before we get into any of it, my friends, we've got a sponsor of the program today, and I'm excited to share with you our friends over at Private Internet Access can help you get secure on the interwebs. Are you using a VPN yet, my friends? I wasn't either until I realized I'm now working a lot more from public places, and I don't want people creeping in on my tubes. So I decided to get Private Internet Access. It's a VPN service that creates an encrypted tunnel for you when you browse the web. This means that people on the same Wi-Fi network can't snoop in on you and see what you're doing. When I'm doing my research, chatting, texting, sending emails, or accessing sensitive information like my bank account, I don't want people monitoring me, and the encryption from a VPN stops that. But what I also love is that a VPN allows you to change your IP address to one of over 80 countries around the world. This means you can bypass geographic restrictions on certain websites like Netflix that will often limit movies or TV shows that you can watch based on your region. This means with the VPN, you can change your region and get access to additional content you might not otherwise see. And what I like most about private internet access is that they are the world's most transparent VPN provider. With over 30 million downloads and a no logs policy, this means that they never record or store user data. All this has been verified by an audit from Deloitte, and it's also been defended in court litigation. And now, private internet access allows you to protect all of your devices with just one subscription. So you can protect your whole household in one go, super simple. So let's get you protected when you are connected with a VPN from Private Internet Access. Go to www.piavpn.com/Robert. And using that link, you will get 83% off and 4 months free when you sign up for a 2-year plan. Be sure to use my link for that major discount on this initial offer. And my friends, will see you at piavpn.com/Robert. All right, my friends. So, boom, shirt change. Make sure you check them out. Thanks for supporting our sponsors. Thanks for supporting the show. We also want to tell you to head on over to robertgovea.com to sign up for our daily newsletter, and then stick around as a member to join us for our members-only after party at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. All right. Now, let's get into it, because we got some business to attend to, starting with insurrection at the Capitol. This one brought by Representative Rashida Tlaib. And you can see her here on the outskirts of Capitol Hill, who's going to be talking to a crowd and leading them to insurrect the Capitol yet again. I can hardly even talk. It's such a horrific scene. But Rashida was out there delivering a speech, and she actually threatened Joe Biden, in my opinion. I mean, certainly if you're going to arrest J6ers for this thing, she's got to be at the top of the list. And she's also talking about some fake news about hospital bombings and so on and so forth. But we're going to go through this today and watch literally how the insurrectionists breached police lines, as you can see here. MSNBC has a difficult time trying to, rectify what to do here, because they are still shell-shocked from the other insurrections, including the one from Jamal Bowman. But we've got Marjorie Taylor Green, who was there on the scene, and look at this picture she took. She took a picture of somebody sending group text messages in a text message group called Global Intifada, which means global uprising, global rebellion. Huh? Okay. And they're in the halls of Congress, interfering with the operation of American democracy. So we'll see what Marjorie had to say. And we know that this did interfere with Congress because Representative Thom Tillis is blaming Rashida, saying that she led the insurrection. And so we're waiting for the FBI to dig into all of this. But it started with Rashida. And you can pay close attention and judge for yourself. But we've covered a lot of the January 6 cases here, okay? Our government is so hysterical that they have now sentenced Mackey to 7 months of prison. I believe that's the right amount. And he posted memes on X, okay? And we covered that case back when he was being prosecuted and charged here. But my point is, they're prosecuting J6ers for everything. You post a joke meme like Douglas Mackey did, and boom, he gets arrested and imprisoned for the whole thing. But this is Rashida. This is a little precarious position for the Democrats, because they don't really know what to do here. And when we listen to this, I want you to hear the insurrectionary language that comes out of the crowd, okay? She says, Joe Biden is our president. And the crowd says, like, oh, no, he's not. And she says, ho, he is our president. Which seems to me like they're literally talking about Joe Biden not being their president, which is kind of like reminiscent of what they were complaining that the Trump people were doing on January 6th. So let's listen in to Rashida, the leader of the insurrectionists at the Capitol.
And to my president, to our president. Yes, he's still on. Well, hold on. I want him to know, as a Palestinian American, is also somebody of Muslim faith, I'm not going to forget this.
Whoa.
And I think a lot of people are not going to forget this. And it's not a threat. It isn't. They think we're joking. I mean, I think the White House and everyone thinks that we're just going to sit back and let this just continue to happen. No.
What are you going to do?
The fact of the matter is, our lives are not safe with you or the forever peace president. When are we going to feel safe? When are we going to stop funding continued literally oppression of indigenous communities? When are we going to say enough?
somebody calling the FBI right now?
It makes me so angry to have to say it, but I'm telling you, I'm talking to people that literally are like me. They literally believed in this party that was supposed to be inclusive of all of our opinions and our views and our political stance and all of these things. But what is starting to get really, really, really clear and very loud?
What?
Is that somehow
your voice?
Many of us in this room, because of our political opinions, because maybe our faith is a certain faith, maybe because our ethnicity is a certain ethnicity, that somehow we're subhuman.
I don't think anybody's saying that at all. I mean, not here at least, maybe elsewhere around the interwebs. But I don't think it's a mainstream argument. I think there's a mainstream argument here that, well, I guess it depends what mainstream you're in. There's a lot of mainstream arguments going on. I've got to be careful on that one. But okay, so the point is, her language at the start of this clip was all about Joe Biden and about him not being maybe their president, or maybe he is the president. But they're not going to forget this, man, and they're not going to be oppressed anymore, and so on. And I'm going, yikes, because we've talked about over 1,000 criminal defendants here in the January 6 cases who've all been prosecuted for language like fighting, like we're not going to take this anymore, showing up in group text messages saying like, liberty and freedom and 1776 in America. And Joe Biden's not my president, kind of like what they're saying right here, like Joe Biden's not their president or something. It's very strange. So a lot of conflicts are breaking down. But Trump got prosecuted 4 times, and one indictment for sure is the January 6 case, where he's been indicted for saying things like fight like hell. We're going to go fight to the Capitol. And they had a meltdown over that. And so she had to confirm for us that it was not a threat, right? She had to say that because everybody thought it was a threat. If it was obviously not a threat, then she wouldn't have to clarify it for us, but she did because it was clearly a threat. And so I'm curious what the FBI is going to do about that, or what Jack Smith or Merrick Garland or Joe Biden's Justice Department is going to do about it. Nothing. And in addition to that, we had this hospital situation, which was, a wild thing. We talked about this on our members only stream this morning. And, talking about how everybody just comes to conclusions like immediately. As soon as something happens, it's like, oh, well, I know exactly what happened. I'm a military expert. I got 75 years of Navy SEAL experience. And so I know exactly what that bomb looks like. And it did this to that thing. So clearly it was these people. And then they retweeted all over the place. And then even the New York Times will show after this clip is modifying their headlines in real time. They're just changing the story. So first the story goes from Israel bombed at 500 civilians. And then they slowly modify it back down into a blast may have killed 500 people. And then we wake up this morning and it's like, maybe it was a parking lot and the hospital's fine. Like, what the heck is going on? But this is a congressperson, right? It's okay if some, random person like myself is out here ranting and raving. All right, whatever. Okay, you can dismiss that. He's a commentator. He's a political, whatever. She's a congressperson, right? They're voting on bills. They're supposed to be a little bit more calmer, a little bit more intelligent, maybe a little bit more well-reasoned, and they're none of those things, okay? They're dumber and more hysterical than everybody is, and less competent than all of us. And so here they are with a microphone and power to go and make votes, and then when they come out and they're not accurate in their statements, it delegitimizes everything. It really and I've been critical about Joe Biden on this, and everybody, when they're not accurate, it shatters the credibility of the whole government. Like, nobody believes them on either side. That's really bad. And so we've got a situation here. This is what she sounded like.
Continue to watch people.
We're not going to listen to this whole clip, okay? I'm not going to put us through it, or I'll lower the volume down. So, rest assured. I'm not laughing at the pain and suffering out there, okay? Look, I know this is a serious situation, and there are people dying, and it's a horrific situation over there, and we're not over there. And so I'm not trying to make light of that at all. But I got to tell you, this is a congresswoman, okay? She's not supposed to be hysterical. Okay, other people can cry and they can get emotional and they can drop a tear now and then. But we got, everybody's just crying all over. John Kirby's crying all over the place too. It's just like, look, guys, the point here with this ceasefire language is to tone the volume down, okay? It's to turn the volume down. If we can do that, then maybe this whole thing stops spiraling out of control. But when a congressperson comes out and then makes basically fake news or uncorroborated news about hospitals being blown up or whatever, like, pick whatever version you want. They're all out there. And so she comes out, picks one that's for her, and then cries to everybody about what a hysterical catastrophe this is, which undermines, I think, the very argument for a ceasefire, calming things down. She's riling it up to politicize it. Okay, right. And she's literally talking about a news story that even the New York Times, all right, which is not, some right-wing news agency, has a hard time corroborating. You may have seen this. This was over from End Wokeness, and we've seen many permutations of this all over the internets today. But you saw the headline like modify itself in real time, okay? Because everybody needs to be first, and everybody just picks the story that they want. So we heard from Rashida Tlaib. She picked version 1, and she's sticking with version 1. It says that Israeli strike kills hundreds in the hospital, according to Palestinians. Palestinians say, okay, well, that version wasn't, really accurate. So the New York Times, who accuses Elon and all of us about spreading disinformation and that we all need to be canceled and given strikes on YouTube and banned, but they changed their headline just a short time later. They keep the picture the same, though. They say at least 500 dead in a strike on a Gaza hospital. Okay, so that's a little bit more passive, right? Rather than Israel strikes them. Now it's just at least dead in a strike. Now, who did it? But even strike wasn't a good thing to say because that makes it believe that the Israelis did it. And so they had to modify it again because nobody really knows what the heck happened. At least 500 now are dead in a blast. Okay, now it's not a strike anymore, according to the Palestinians. Palestinians say. And then we woke up like, was it actually a hospital or is it just the parking lot next to the hospital, which is what it now looks like to be. So then maybe the whole story's fake. But Rashida Tlaib and others are out there. And why is that, right? Are they agitating? Do they think this is accurate? Do they know it's misinformation? Are they trying to cause a global conflict? Is this the new conflict that's going to carry us into the summer of 2024? Are these the beginning stages of it? Remember that BLM was something that percolated and then climaxed right in 2020 after we had George Floyd and the trial and all of that, man. It was all set up just to climax right around 2020. And it did. And so we're always looking for these people who are professional agitators. It's like their entire job description has morphed. It used to be about competent governance. Now it's just about agitating, riling people up, getting more social media followers. It's really a pretty big problem, but she's threatening the president, and we'll see if the FBI does anything about it. But if you doubt that that alone was enough, we've got several clips here about how this insurrection led by Rashida Tlaib continued to go. And you see here's the Capitol Hill police, as we're told, are heroes who protect the Capitol at all costs and so on. I'm sure there are many good people there. And they are being attacked by these insurrectionist mobs. Getting tense. Getting tense.
Up with liberation. Down with occupation. 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 Up with liberation. For all the Palestinians living under apartheid. For all the Palestinians living under apartheid.
Pretty quiet, right? Just wait. I'm having flashbacks to the West End Capitol gates, and we're going to keep a close eye out for Ray Epps back here. I don't know if he's around here anywhere. He was with the FBI incited mob. This might not be FBI incited. This might be a natural one. So keep your eye out for Ray Epps out there. Attacking police. Did you see that violent attack? Look at that. Physical contact with the officers, trying to breach the outer perimeter walls. Insurrection. And I wonder how many feds were there instigating them. Now, what's also curious about this is if this was happening maybe and these were Trump supporters, remember that they got orders to start shooting people with paintball guns and projectiles from the upper balcony. We saw that in the trial. They said, thunk, 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 and they started shooting people And then that agitated people, and that caused some more chaos. And so we're always wondering if they're going to start shooting or pepper spraying these people to incite them to violence like they did for others. But that was just one exchange. You could see some physical altercations happening. Eventually, now I don't know how the heck this happened. I'm still waiting for an explanation on this. I was looking all day today. But how did they all get in here? They just walk in the front door? And they just let them in? Okay, like we get the scene when we see them all basically there. We don't get to see how they all come piling in. And how this happened, I have no idea. But certainly, man, we're looking at several hundred people in this room and it's going to fill up. Are they all going to be indicted? Are their houses going to be raided? Let Gaza live. Philly Jews say never again is now. And they're all in the Capitol Rotunda. And you can see this is what MSNBC and others had to say. Two more clips from the arrests now, right? Now we get a couple of arrests that were made. This guy got arrested, and we'll see what he gets indicted with, if anything. That's resisting arrest. That's resisting arrests. You can see that over here. I was blocking it. Yep, all right, well, so we'll see if he gets indicted for insurrection as well. And then one final clip of another arrest that took place. This was this guy. Violent behavior. And just for a little context, remember, Congress is trying to elect a speaker. Congress has important business to attend to. It's a historic time where we're electing a new Speaker of the House. And so how could they be interrupted from all of these activities? And we'll see. Marjorie Taylor Green was disturbed, as were others. Wow. Now, so I want to point this one out. Okay, see this balcony here? This woman in white is Marjorie Taylor Green, and we're going to check in with her from her side of the camera in a minute. She's live streaming right now. Look at this mob of insurrectionists. Wow. Yeah, now what's interesting about this is there's nobody at the upper balcony shooting them in the face. Do you see that? There's nobody throwing pepper spray. And what I would guess is that there's probably no FBI agents in the crowd who are encouraging people to go in, right? We've seen what the FBI says when they're involved in this stuff, like in the Whitmer plot, where they said the plan is to kill the governor specifically and so on. We saw in the Proud Boys cases that there were 50 plus confidential informants that the defense identified, okay, not even what the government admitted. There were 5 Proud Boys on trial. There were 8 CHSs, 8 confidential human sources in that one case, just so we're clear. That was admitted by the government. So I don't, so in other words, it's a 8-to-5 ratio of feds to non-feds in the J6 trial that we covered here. So I don't know if the same ratio is here. I don't know how many of these people are feds. My guess is probably not, which is why this wasn't more violent. If Christopher Wray had his goons in there, they probably would have started shooting people in the face, and then this thing would have gotten a little bit more out of control. But that didn't happen for whatever reason, because they're probably not trying to set those people up like they were with Trump's. But this is what MSNBC had to say about it. And this is an interesting problem for the left, because they are, being torn all over the place. They don't really know what to do or what to say, right? Joe Biden's taken a position. Rashida Tlaib and the squad are taking a different position. They are at odds with one another. You've got people in Harvard attacking one another, right? There's a pretty big problem. And now we have another insurrection. And these people were hysterical, like PTSD status with the last insurrection. And now there's another insurrection that just happened, but it's like by their side, but maybe it's not by their side. They haven't figured out how to handle this yet. And here's what they sound like.
Calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. They are inside the Cannon House office building. I want to go to NBC's Julie Sirkin. Julie, what more can you tell us?
Yeah, hey, Chris. I mean, you literally see some of them behind me right now. There are about 1,000 of them. Hundreds of them have been able to actually get into the Cannon office building, the House office building, that's where I'm standing right now. They are from a coalition known as Jewish Voices for Peace. They have been largely, in the past, criticized the rest of the Democrats, including Congressman Jerry Nadler, who is Jewish, saying that this organization is anti-Zionist. They do not believe in Israel's passed what's known as BDS, trying to boycott Israeli businesses, and some of that has been looked at negatively by Democrats and Republicans who do support Israel here. Now, behind me, you're hearing a lot of noise. They are asking for a ceasefire. These are American Jews and allies who are, of course, not Jewish as well. They are demanding a ceasefire on both sides. I will tell you also, Chris, there's a lot of people behind me right now. They're all over this rotunda. They're all over the bottom, as you see on your screens right now. There have been some arrests made as I was even walking to the
Why not all of them?
I saw a number of Capitol Police taking out protesters with their hands behind their backs. We have not gotten official word of how many were charged or what they were charged
Why not?
with. But certainly, no matter the arrest, you see that this has not stopped the protesters from being here, from being loud. And this comes, of course, as President Biden is overseas in Israel, where he met with Netanyahu this morning, where he pledged continued support of Israel amid this conflict, amid this war. But there you have it, just a lot of protesters here calling for a ceasefire on both sides, even right next to me, as you see behind me. And they're singing, and they are shouting, and they are passionate, and they are angry, and they are loud.
Julie Sirkin, thank you for that. Again, Jewish Americans and their
Angry,
allies,
passionate,
who had this planned protest.
And loud. And so, you know, we got some serious, we got a high, we have a high concentration of masks in the crowd, which is about what you'd expect. You know, you're always looking for what kind of crowd are you in? And we've got a very high percentage of masks in here. Oh my gosh, it's probably 50%, maybe more than that. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. She's got hers down. Hey, pull your mask up. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm going to guess it's half the people in the frame, if not 60%, all masked up, except her. She's going to kill everybody's grandma. Thanks. Hope you're happy. So, all right, that's MSNBC. And it sounds like it's pretty chaotic. There's a lot of anger in the room. And you can see Marjorie Taylor Green was on the balcony and she was inside reporting about what happened, including Marjorie took a photograph of this and she posted it. She said, "Global Intifada. It's an Arabic rebellion and uprising." Here's a photo of one of the insurrectionists' phones. These people are not for peace. And so she's on the other side, right? Rashida's down there threatening Joe Biden, and she's under attack in the Capitol. And she took this picture over this dude's shoulder. It is a group text. It says Global Intifada. They have a group chat for that. Well, they didn't watch this show, okay? Because the Proud Boys got, prosecuted for all of their group texts. So my question is the FBI going to be going after all of these individuals and digging through their phone to see what they're involved in with this global intifada, with this global rebellion, this global uprising? Here's the message. Back of the rally, says Nico. Rami says, trying to find you. Amaritz says, back right if you face the rally. They're looking for each other. Hey, where are you singing from? Hey, where are you insurrecting from? Right, same crap that the FBI was monitoring the J6ers doing, except they were outside, most of them. And for the ones that came in, and maybe even the ones that didn't, they got charged with crimes. It just depends. For example, Enrique Tarrio was not even there, all right, on January 6th. So she says, back of the rally next to the dirt path. Walk straight back from the Polish hot dog stand. Oh, I wonder if they got some Polish hot dogs there. Probably not. Here, Tamira, Support Global says, if you haven't given me your blank and cell, please send it here. So they've got a whole operations team, all right, that are in the Global Intifada group, insurrecting the Capitol. And depending on what you think about that, right, there's something for the FBI to jump in on if they cared. The question is, will they? Now, Marjorie was there on the scene, and she is reporting from inside the building, and she posted this live. She says, there's an insurrection happening now on Capitol Hill. This has almost 1 million views, and here's what it sounded like.
The march outside.
Let's start it from the beginning. And refresh it, because Twitter's video does that.
Okay, so we have an insurrection happening in the Cannon building.
We do.
This is the march outside the pro-Palestinian march going on outside, and then we have this happening inside of our building. I'm going to take you guys down so you can see what's happening on the third floor. Literally, they've come in and taken over. This is insanity. This is where the press does all their hits. Of course, they know what they're doing. They always know what they're doing.
Kind of cool to see things from inside, from the congressperson's perspective, to see her walking around on that balcony. Unfortunately, they're being insurrected. Let's see where else she takes us.
I want to go see out the road out here. I'm going out here.
Okay, so this is where we saw her on the balcony, and the other camera got her coming out.
Claiming they want peace, but they want money.
That's getting bigger and bigger. You can see that.
They're saying, let Gaza live.
You can see the crowd. Like, look at the crowd size from here. Okay, watch the crowd size just in a few short minutes. Go from 2 minutes, and you can see they'll get this flag out here, and then this side's going to fill in a bit more when we fast forward here, if Twitter will allow it. Sometimes it doesn't work all that well, so we got to refresh it when we scroll around. But you'll see the crowd size.
Okay, so we have out Hamas
Right
out
there,
of
yeah,
Gaza.
much bigger.
Hand them over and let them be tried.
All that filled in. Whoa, much bigger, just in a matter of minutes. Wow, I wonder if the FBI has their agents all zooming in. Who's that? Who's that? Is that an insurrectionist? What organization are they in? My guess is not. That is filling up.
We're starting to arrest people now.
Was that Rashida in the background?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Here, hold that for that down there. Well, if you listen to them and look at their signs down there, they're saying, give back the stolen land. These are people, they're not for peace. There's a lot of other signs down there. They are not pro-Israel. And Hamas are the terrorists in Gaza that killed innocent Israeli citizens. And these people are not for peace. You can tell it's the same kind of movement that started with BLM, and it'll be the same kind of violent movement later on. They don't want peace.
Did you hear her make the BLM point? That's very curious. Yeah, because there were a lot of maskers in that crowd too.
Let Gaza live! Let Gaza live! Let Gaza live!
This guy's
Murderers go home! Murderers go home!
this guy's insurrecting
Let Gaza live!
Marjorie.
Let Gaza live! End the genocide! End the genocide!
That guy insurrected Marjorie's. Wow. What's the Capitol Police doing letting somebody get that close to scream to Marjorie right in her face like that while she's giving an interview, huh? insurrected her face.
It's not on my
Not
hands.
on my hands, buddy.
I didn't do it. These people are crazy.
Yeah. She's right about it. People can get a little bit crazy out there. My question is, are they going to arrest them and indict them and raid their homes and throw them in solitary confinement for the end of days? No, probably not, because this is something that they're interested in. And so what was interesting about today is this was the other angle, right? So this was the other side of Marjorie when she was flipping the camera around. This is another dude recording her. Do you think there's an insurrection right now? We're going to find out. All right, that's what's happening in Congress. And now the question is, what are the repercussions going to be? What is the FBI going to do about it? We know that one representative says that this is all Rashida Tlaib's fault. And I think that she's maybe just the figurehead of the current moment. But what's going to happen with this is that it's probably going to continue to percolate. And as Marjorie mentioned, and as I think we've seen by prior precedent and historical patterns here, that they would love a lot of social agitation to climax right in the middle of next year. And Joe Biden wants to be a war president, by the way, a wartime president. I have this opinion that he thinks he's like FDR. Okay, he wants to spend big. He wants to do big things, you know, like infrastructure and all the stuff, like recreate the country. And FDR was a wartime president, World War II, and Joe Biden may be leading us into World War III. And so we'll see what he says later during his White House Oval Office address. But here is one representative saying we're under attack and Rashida's to blame.
But I want to start with holding our members accountable here on Capitol Hill. Now, this was posted on social media, and it reads like false statements that we've seen from Hamas and other groups who want to foment hate and death in the region. It reads like this: Israel just bombed the Baptist hospital building, killing 500 Palestinians, doctors, children's patients, just like that. That was within an hour or two of the bombing, before we knew anything, before
Nothing.
any of us could have possibly had a secured briefing, before we'd gotten an assessment from the President of the United States or any of our intelligence sources,
Senator
before
Thom
we could go
Tillis.
down to the skiff and actually understand the details, that statement was made. Now, you'd think that'd come from a member of Hamas.
Nope.
But it came from a member of our Congress.
Rashida Tlaib.
If that member of Congress wants to take responsibility for the protests that we now see in Beirut, good on you. In Jordan, in Oman, and in Egypt, this sort of leadership or failure of leadership has no place on Capitol Hill. Now I want to talk about why I think.
But maybe that's the point. Maybe that is the goal, right? The goal is to propagandize her base. It is to agitate people because that's where they get more donations. That's where they get more support. That's how they become leaders, right? You never let a crisis go to waste. If you can take advantage of something and use it to bootstrap some more growth for your political campaign, why not? So what if it's an insurrection at the Capitol, or so what if it's fake news that has not even been verified yet? You just retweet it. It's not even a retweet, okay? This is an actual post. And so she just drops it out because she's foaming at the mouth, frothing for whatever purpose, and she wants to communicate it on to the rest of the people in her base, and it's going to cause the volume to go up around the world, and it's not accurate even, and she's a congresswoman. It's a shame.
Hamas is evil and why Iran's a part of this, and why this is not surprising that the very details of this attack took place. Earlier this year in February, I was let me back up. A couple of years ago, I was in Israel, and we went down to the Gaza Strip. We saw a tunnel head. We actually walked into a tunnel that was discovered by the Israelis. We went to a Patriot battery or an Iron Dome battery that every day is prepared to shoot down missiles, because it almost happens before this attack. It happens almost on a daily basis. I've literally been in Israel when I'm having lunch in northern Israel. This was near the Golan Heights, and I'm asking somebody to pass a plate of food. A bomb goes off. And the people living in this kibbutz did not even miss a beat. Every day they have to live with this stuff. So now down in Gaza, we see the trail, the tunnel system that's in Gaza. If you go north to the Lebanese border, you will see an entire network of tunnels that the Israelis identified just in time. It had been a project that was estimated to be 10 years in the making, funded by Iran. Hezbollah is in Lebanon. Hamas is down in Gaza Strip. They had developed these tunnel networks, and they were prepared to do the same thing in northern Israel that we saw in southern Israel over the past week and a half. And they even want to design this to strike fear and terror in the Israeli people. They want them to think, they want their children to think that they're going to pop out of the ground and kidnap them and kill their parents. This is a part of the terror that they want the Israeli people to live in every single day. And the Iranians were absolutely responsible for funding Hamas to build that tunnel network in northern Israel. And they do the same thing with Hamas in southern Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, first off, this has to end. Let's work with facts. And if Israel doesn't abide by the rules of war, then we should hold them accountable. But what we're finding out now from additional intelligence sources is that it does appear as though this was not an Israeli strike.
Right. And so you can see, I think he's over the mark on that one, right? It's about some calm and some leadership. Anytime you're in a crisis, what you really want out of your elected officials is strength and leadership and resolve and clarity and fortitude and a vision for how to get through the problem. But Joe Biden is not delivering any of that. In fact, he went over to Israel today and he was just mumbling through his mouth. And he said, well, about the bombing hospital, the other team didn't do it. You guys, I think at least, maybe. You know, it's no clarity. It's no calm. It's basically the opposite of that. It's a lot of hystericism. It's a lot of fake news. It's a lot of people rallying up war everywhere we turn. And it's a horrific thing to see. We should expect more from our elected officials who are supposed to be bringing us peace in our lives, not war. And we're tired of seeing it. So thanks, Rashida Tlaib. We'll see if the FBI goes and investigates her or indicts any of those 1,000 people. Maybe we'll hear from Christopher Wray and Merrick Garland, and they'll tell us about what a broad and extensive investigation this is, the most extensive in the history of the DOJ, blah, blah, blah. My guess is no. My guess is most of those people don't get charged with anything. They're escorted out because it's just too difficult to prosecute their own side. We'll continue to cover this, my friends. Thank you for joining us. I'm sure there will be many more insurrections here, and we appreciate you subscribing and sharing this content with a friend or family member so they can join us on the next one. All right. Now, let's get some trial updates. Woo! All right, we've got New York City. Donald Trump back in trial in New York City. Letitia James also there. But Trump took a break from the day's proceedings to come out and reveal to all of us that the government has been caught in a big lie. And we'll listen to what he had to say. We'll also peer inside the courtroom and run through the day's activities, courtesy of 2 tweet threads that will run us through the trial. And to get us started, let's see what things looked like inside the courtroom. And here it is. Judge Engoran and his clerk that Trump can't comment on. Trump is seated there. We've got Alina Abba. Look at her right there. And Alina's in a turtleneck. Did you see that right there? Look at that turtleneck. What do you think about that? Is that a turtleneck? I think it is. What do you think about that turtleneck? I happen to like it. I think it's pretty in vogue. Is that the thing? Now, the reason I wanted to bring it up, okay, on our members only stream, just yesterday, I believe, we were talking about how people dress and how women dress in particular. And I said something like, I happen to like when women dress a little bit conservatively because it leaves some things to the imagination. That was part of the conversation we were having. And that was yesterday. And guess what happened, my friends? Alina shows up to court in a turtleneck. That's the universe telling us something's cooking there. All right. So, hello, Alina. You're doing a great job in the courtroom. Let's see how this looks. All right. So, is Tishy in here? Whoa, we got a big camera flare. I don't see Tishy here. Normally, she's sitting in the back of the courtroom, but not today. Not today. It's all the same people prosecuting. Look at all these people. Here's Trump. Oh, there's Trump. Oh, look at those nice cufflinks. Trump's sporting some cufflinks, man. Get the zoom in on the cufflinks. Sharp, Trump. Looking sharp. Looking good. And Alina's looking good in that turtleneck, man. I like it. Because it's going to give her more strength in her vocal cords for when she's making oral arguments in the trial, obviously. That's why. It's to strengthen her legal reasoning ability. That's all. That's all I'm saying. So here, let's see. Is Tishy here? Where's Tish? Oh, she's sitting by herself. Oh, in the back of the courtroom, as usual. In the back of the courtroom, as usual. Isn't that just amazing? So, I don't know what she's doing there. Is she an observer? Maybe she should bring a law school student with her, and they can learn about the trial together. Hey, any NYU interns, you should go join Letitia. You guys can learn about trial together. Shout out to our law school students. Oh, man. And nobody wants to sit with Tish, man. How come? What gives? All right, cameras out of the courtroom. Get out. Trial starting. Get out of here. Oh, man. Why can't Tish? Why won't she sit up here and do some work? Okay, look, there's a lot of other people. They keep telling us that Tish is like this really brave, heroic, very competent leader of New York, the New York Attorney General's office. You know, if she's not going to be doing trial, if she's not going to be participating, does she need to be there? Like, really? You know, other cases where the county attorney or the attorney general are not there, they're not actually there. You know, they don't actually show up. But she's there. She's just not participating. She's behind the bar. She's in the back of the courtroom. It's a strange thing. But anyways, all right, so that's Tishy. Now, we're going to go through the trial thread. But when they had a break in the morning, Trump came out and he said that the morning session involved them getting caught in a big lie. Not Trump, the government. Here's what he said.
President, what are your thoughts on the trial so far?
The government, through its witness, just got caught in a big, fat lie.
Yeah.
And frankly, this case should be dismissed. It should have never been brought. This case should have never been brought. And this case should be dismissed. This is ridiculous, what's going on.
Are you coming back
And
tomorrow?
all you have to do is take a look at the record of the people in the room.
Are you coming back tomorrow, sir?
Mr. President, are you coming back tomorrow?
Big fat lie. And they exit the courtroom. All right, and so that's what it looked like in the courtroom. We've got the whole crew there. Trump's looking good, nice cufflinks. Alina has a nice shirt on. Judge is ready to go. Tish is all alone. Nobody wants to sit with her. And she's got other people doing the actual work on the case. Now we're there. Adam Klasfeld is reporting. He tells us Trump is expected to return to trial, and he was there. Letitia is there in court. Of course, she was sitting alone. All of her actual competent people doing the hard work were sitting in front of the bar. Trump and his attorneys haven't arrived yet, but the first in is Alina Abba and Christopher Keese. Now, photojournalists and videographers enter, but before they come in, the judge is in the courtroom. He says, hello, everybody. All right, it's good to be here. It's, happy Wednesday. He says, hey, people in the front row, this is the judge speaking, you're going to be in the background of these photos. I just want to warn you. And they're like, yeah, we know. That's why we're here. So he says, now each of these daily photography sessions usually begins with a joke from the judge. Now, recording's barred during the trial, so we just get to see the inside for a minute and then they kick us out. Now, court is back in session. The bailiff, the court clerk says, we're back on the record. Cases New York Attorney General's Office, State of New York versus Donald Trump and Trump Organization and so on. Whatever the case is, CV 2023, blah, blah, blah. Says, all right, back on the stand. Doug Larson. Mr. Larson, you understand? You're still under oath? Yes, I do. Okay. He's back on the stand. Now, we have this conversation about competing appraisals. Okay, one guy says this is worth this. The other guy says this is worth that, and they have a debate about it. Now, the question comes out. Trump's lawyer is cross-examining him. This guy is somebody who evaluates properties. So Trump says to Mr. Doug Larson, he says, hey, Mr. Larson, isn't it true that you undervalued 40 Wall Street by $114 million? Isn't that true? No. So you're saying that you didn't write a report where you undervalued 40 Wall Street by $114 million? No, I didn't. So if I showed you a report that said, he says, no, I didn't. A third try and a third answer in the negative. So he says, our values were not wrong. No. So I didn't undervalue it. Our value was not wrong. Tries again. Objection from the government prosecutors, which maybe this could have come earlier, but is objection asked and answered, meaning you already asked him the fourth, the time. The judge says, well, I'm going to give him some latitude on this. It's a bench trial, so it's okay. I know what's going on. In other words, the jury is not going to be prejudiced by the same question being asked over and over again. So he tries again. So he says, well, let me rephrase this. I want to rephrase the question. And the witness agrees that the conclusions would follow those assumptions. So he's saying, look, if I gave you this number and I gave you that number and I gave you this number, isn't it true that you could come to a calculation that looks like this? And he says, yeah, if I had the assumptions that that number was that, then sure, I could see how that number could be that. Okay? Thank you. Now, Jeff stands up. No, actually, same lawyer. This is an email about Jeff. So Trump's lawyer is still cross-examining this guy who's doing evaluations. And he says, I want to show you this email, Mr. Doug Larson, from Jeff McConney to you. So, okay. It was dated back in 2013, August 5th. Do you remember that? And he says, well, maybe. Would it refresh your recollection? Here, yeah, sure. I want to read you this letter. It says, it's an email. It says, I hope you are well. It's that time of year again. Would you, Doug, be able to send me a current report similar to the one that was attached for the Midtown Class A buildings and also one for the downtown Class A buildings, like 40 Wall Street, in parentheses? Now, they're saying, wait a minute. There's an email here. Trump's team is popping up this email, August 5th, 2013. It's right here. But Adam Klasfeld says, remember that prior in the testimony, Doug Larson, the guy who's on the stand, denied having a conversation with McConney. He said McConney, the government's witness, he said, Larson says, I never talked to McConney about 40 Wall Street. They've got an email that says you did. Larson replied to the McConney in an email. And he attached a spreadsheet. That's the big lie that Trump was talking about. The government witness says, I didn't talk to the person, and he sent him an email with an Excel spreadsheet or something. McConney sent Larson another email in September. And so Trump's lawyers are just beating him up right now bad, saying, wait a minute. Okay, isn't it true you said you never talked to McConney about 40 Wall Street? Yeah. Never, not once. Never, not once. And you didn't make any, maybe that's why they were asking him the question 4 times. And so you didn't, they knew, because they knew this was coming, right? They asked him the question. They were just really trying to pin him down on, I didn't do anything. I didn't know anything. And then they're going to hit him with the emails, one after the other. So you didn't make any evaluation? That's curious, because we got this one email from August that has your name on it that you responded to, and another one from September 15th, apparently asking about the cap rate issue, which was the subject of yesterday's testimony. The email says the following: if we have a property with a ground lease that expires in 2079, McConney asked, this must be from the Trump org, would that affect the cap rate in any way if the lease goes out way far? And he's getting squirrely with his answer. Okay, we don't really see what the answer is. And Trump's lawyer says, so you lied yesterday, didn't you? You lied yesterday, didn't you? And Christopher Keese, Trump's other lawyer, and says, hey, Your Honor, by the way, this witness has rights, right? So Trump's lawyer, this is spicy, man. So just so we're clear. You lied yesterday. You said you didn't talk to him. You did talk to him multiple times, and you said that the cap rate was a certain limit, but we say that you could have interpreted it differently. And you just told me 4 times that your values were not wrong based on all of those other assumptions. And now I'm showing you, man, this guy like is totally busted. You lied yesterday. So Trump's other lawyers jumping up. Hey, this witness has rights. Somebody needs to advise him of perjury. Okay, if he answers this question, he might be incriminating himself. So it like read him his Miranda rights. Okay, so like Christopher Keese is saying, don't let this testimony get bad because this client is claiming my rights were violated or something, right? Trump's lawyers are actually defending this guy against perjuring himself, right? And this is like exploding. So here he jumps up, judge, advise this man of perjury. He's about to incriminate himself. And he said, you lied yesterday. So it all just explodes. Now, after a furious objections from the state. So Tishy's lawyers, not even Tishy, she's behind the bar. She's like, I'm just like observing. I have no idea what's happening here. Practicing her stupid speech for later. After furious your objection. The judge says, all right, Mr. Larson, you're excused for a moment. All right, please leave here while we sort this out. Now, after the witness leaves, Trump's lawyers, Keese, tells the judge flatly, says, I think he needs to be advised of potential perjury. Okay, that dude just lied to all of us, judge. Now, the government lawyer accuses Keese of performing for the press in the gallery. He's like, you're just making a big show of this. You embarrassed us with our lying witness. And you're doing it for the press. Do they want to gag him too against asking questions to lying witnesses? These prosecutors, man, they're all the same. So Keese says, whether they're concerned about his rights or not, judge, I certainly am. All right. So the government called this guy. They put him on the stand. He's lying to us, is our opinion. And they may not care if he perjures himself, which is like a disgusting thing, right? The government is going to set up their own witness to lie and then get charged with a crime. They know that they're not going to charge him with a crime for lying for them, essentially, but you get the point. So that's why they don't care. They're like, this dude's lying through his teeth for us, right? In Trump's team's opinion, right? He's lying. According to them, he's telling the truth. We'll see. So the government notes that the emails are not from the years at issue. You see how dishonest they are? So they're saying, well, we're only talking about 2016, Your Honor. He was talking about 2013. So it's not relevant. And says the government does not care about this witness's Fifth Amendment rights. This is a performance. That must be Christopher Keese. Right? They're throwing this guy to the wolves. And the government says, no, Your Honor, I think this is a performance for the press that's seated behind us, which is an insane thing to say. Like if a witness is lying, right, that is standard trial practice. You impeach a witness with their prior inconsistent statements. There's rules about all this. And so he says that I did something. You say, no, I've got documents and evidence that you didn't. And so your credibility is now shot. And you're a liar, is what they called him. So Engoran questions why Keese is raising this concern, which isn't in the defense's interest of getting the witness to speak, right? And this is why this is conflicted. This is like feels like a weird move because it's an adverse witness. So the defense is almost protecting the government's witness. Actually is. And Letitia James and her lawyers are just like, whatever, man, this guy can lie through his teeth. We're not going to prosecute him. So what do we care? But Engoran, he's asking Christopher Keese, like, what do you care about this guy for? And he invites Larson's attorney. So the actual witness has an attorney. He says, sir, you're here. Do you want to speak about this? The attorney says that she would like to speak to him because he's been accused of perjury. Yeah. So the defense attorney's like, well, my client just got accused of perjury, so I got to go talk to him. And Engoran says, hey, if he's perjuring himself, this is the judge speaking, then he's perjuring himself. If not, he has nothing to worry about. That's pretty simple. So he orders the witness back to the stand. That's okay. Interesting. So he says, well, if he's lying, he's lying. And if he's not going to worry about it. So that's the end of the story. Bring the witness back. And I think the judge probably knows that Tish is not going to prosecute him. And they all like the lies. So they'll just let it go. So they bring back the witness and they put him back on the stand. Sir, you're still under oath. You understand, yeah. Hey, Miss Court Reporter, can you please recite what happened here? Where did we leave off? He says, okay, it was the Trump defense lawyer saying, you lied yesterday. That was his witness. Question mark. Okay, back over to you. Government says, objection, Your Honor. Look, there's the discrepancy in the dates, okay? He is asking about 2013, and this was about, we're trying to prosecute Trump for 2016. And so they're trying to narrow the hula hoop. So Trump's lawyer rephrases the question and says, and before that gets in, Christopher Keyes derides the state's speaking objection. He says, would you like to write out the answer for the witness? Okay, so like they're giving the witness the answer. Okay, so the witness, they're going to beat up the witness over this. So you lied yesterday. And they're actively like coaching him. No, objection, Your Honor, it's about the dates. And the witness is like, oh yeah, the dates, cool. So when he asks me the question about this, I'm just going to say I didn't lie because it was about the dates, right? So she just fed him the answer. And the judge is allowing it to happen, saying, will you quit your speaking objections? Will you quit telling him the answers? When you object, just say I object. Then make your objection, like the reason for the objection, but like the label of the objection, but not the full argument underlying the objection. So he says, would you like to write it out too? Would you like to get a whiteboard and some sticky notes? Okay, we know Molly Gaston over at the DOJ likes her highlighters. Would you like some of those? So Trump's lawyer then displays the witness's testimony on direct, puts it on the screen. He says, all right, here's what I asked you. Did you work with Mr. McConney in 2013 to determine the cap rate that he used to value the property? That was the specific question. No, I did not. They got emails from August and September that say you did. Larson reverses himself on this notation. All right. They say, wow. So this was part of the entire argument of this trial. This thing is such a scam. Remember that this was the argument. They said that somebody entered a note into a log somewhere at the Trump organization that said, based on the information provided by Douglas Larson, the guy who's on the stand, he works with Cushman Wakefield. They say it reflects a rate cap of 3.04 for 100 Wall Street based on a telephone conversation with Doug Larson in 2016. Since the ground lease still has about 190 years left, the effect on the cap rate is minimal. To be conservative, we increased the cap rate from 0.25 to 3.29%, right? And what they were saying here is that this was all fake. They were saying that Trump's team wrote that whole story out and it was fake so that they could have some backing, right? So they could say, oh no, we talked to experts, Douglas Larson from Cushman and Wakefield, and he said this and he said this, and therefore our valuations can be calculated accordingly with this cap rate and that, right? But they said that never happened. And Larson said that never happened. Turns out Larson reverses himself on this notation. So they say, so what you said that is inaccurate, that is fake, that's not true. That could actually be a real entry, right? He says, yeah, I guess it might be because you have my emails. Noting that the language does fall short of stating that it's Larson's valuation. He says, yeah, so that actually could be real, but I'm not actually sure that it was mine. He says it claims to be based on information that Larson provided and the interpretation that the witness finds credible. Okay, so now he's saying, well, I might have come up with those numbers from other things. And so Trump's lawyers, man, crush this guy and crush the government. This is outstanding. And this is why they're freaking out. So cross-examination ends. He's like, no further questions. Thanks for admitting that this whole thing is actually real and that you did have conversations about all this stuff. Brutal. So cross-examination ends, and now there's a morning recess. Trump comes out, educates the media about the government and their big fat lie that they just got caught in, and they continue on. Now, Trump's other lawyer, called Cliff Roberts, represents Donald Trump's son, Eric and Don Jr. And so he wants to also get some cross-examination in. He says, I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I want you to answer yes or no to these questions. You understand that? Yes, I do. All right, Mr. Larson, did you meet with the New York Attorney General's office, Big Letitia James, over, she's the biggest Tish in New York, by the way. That's her name, Tish James, which she has her Twitter account under that. So the biggest Tish in New York, a lot of them, says here, did you meet with Big Tish James on Monday? Yes. More than one? Let me ask you this. Did you meet with New York Attorney General attorneys on Monday? Yes. More than one of them? Yes. More than two of them? Yes. Did your lawyers have conversations with Tishy's office? Yes. And you would agree with me that Tishy's office showed you your name in the spreadsheets, right? Yes. After Cliff Robert asked the lawyer, they didn't do that, did they? Judge says, don't ask questions in the negative. So he says, all right, let me rephrase it. Do you have emails? He says, I want to ask you about the emails of Larson's communications with McConney, the same emails we just heard of previously. Mr. Larson, the first time you saw those emails is today. Is that right? Yes. Now, it's also true that those emails did not come up at a pretrial meeting, like you didn't know that before. And he probably says no. Now, Robert asks if the Tish office, if the New York Attorney General's office, did they allow you to operate under the, quote, illusion that you never cooperated with McConney? Did Tishy's office allow you to think that you never talked to McConney? And he says, well, I don't know. What do you mean by illusion? So we don't know how he answered that, but they continue. So they get Larson to admit, the appraiser, so it's true that you changed the valuation of 40 Wall Street down from 200 million, you raised it up to 220 million. Is that true? You did that? Back and forth. He says no. He agrees it's not a typo, and then he agrees that the appraisals can be subjective. So Trump's lawyer, actually this is Eric's Trump's lawyer, but the defense, says, hey, Mr. Larson, 40 Wall Street's a beautiful building, isn't it? The Trumpian query props some laughter in the gallery. They're like, oh. And apparently he says yes. Or who knows what he says, but it ends. Now, the government lawyers are back up, and so they're trying to fix this for him. Mark Ladov shows the witness his email exchange with McConney. So Tish's lawyers are back up. They say, Mr. Larson, you've been accused of perjury, and we want to show that you've been, actually, now they're arguing to the judge. We want to show that he's been consistent, which is why we want to show the email exchanges. Key says, I never accused the witness of perjury. Yeah, he needs to be advised of potential perjury, but not saying that he committed perjury. You better advise him because he might be committing it any minute now. So Engoran picks up on Keith's distinction. He says, I said potential perjury. The lawyer suggested that the state was leading him into potential perjury. Didn't make the accusation that he had already committed it. That's why he made the warning. Now Keith points back over to their counsel and says, now he's just reading things for the press, Judge. Now he's just reading. Now Keith is objecting. He says, Your Honor, this is insane. Okay, they keep reading their own leading questions into the record on redirect. It's highly improper. The objection is hearsay, and we stick to rules, at least on this side of the table. And Engoran recites the rule, overrules him, gives it back to Tishy. So Larson's testimony ends. Tish's office shows earlier emails and comments suggesting that he had been consistent in his account. And so, next witness up is a big one. Afternoon session continues. We're back, and we've got People versus Trump. Now, Jack Weisselberg, who is Alan Weisselberg's son, who is already convicted, takes the stand. Tish's lawyer, not Tish, her name is Colleen Faherty. She leads the direct examination. They just get started. They break for lunch. And we're back. The New York Attorney General has the witness run down the lingo. Right? What do fixed rate loans mean? What do pooling loans mean? What does a senior tranche mean? What are junior tranches? and other such terms. Very complicated. Testimony has been just setting the stage, a lot of stuff, right? You can read more about it. Now they get to the evidence. Okay, now we know what all this stuff means. Hey, Mr. Allen, who used to work at the Trump org, I want to ask you about this email from October 19, 2011. Here's the email. It says, Allen to Jack. So Jack is Allen's son. Okay, so son to dad. Wait, let me make sure I'm right on that. Yeah, Jack is the son. Allen is the father. So Jack sends an email. So father sends an email to Jack, just to be clear. Dad sends to son, October 19th. Hey, son, as discussed, we're looking forward for a forward commitment in the amount of $65 million and a term of 10 years to take effect August 2012. Thanks. Talk to you soon. Oh, man, not even love you, Dad. Oh, that's kind of rude. So anyways, he says, now the son is a director at Ladder Capital. So Jack Weisselberg works at Ladder Capital. Alan Weisselberg works for the Trump org. So the son is going to be providing dad some funds, essentially. And so here is what the email says. Subject line for the email is TTCOML, October 2011, rent roll 5-year projection. So Jack, the son, says the TT-COML is short for Trump Tower Commercial Loan, one that was ultimately effectuated. So the son is helping provide capital. The email appears to show the father on the borrowing side, working for Trump, engaging with his son on the lending side on a 10-year, $65 million loan. Okay, here's another email. Here's the body of another email. So father from Trump sends to son at this Capitol, hey, please note that the numbers reflected in the projection includes a license fee payment from the producers of The Apprentice, shown as $500,000. However, the real value of the 2 floors is $100 per square foot or $2.8 million or an additional $2.29 to the bottom line. Additionally, the Trump org occupies about 37,000 equal to 2.7 million to the bottom line as well. Okay, dad to son. So Christopher Keese now is raising objections. Objection, Your Honor. They're talking about these charges from 2011. This is an email from 2011, outside the statute of limitations. Doesn't even apply here. Overruled by the judge. He says, no, they can show a pattern or a practice, so they can just gobble these all up together and bundle them. Now, Trump is visibly displeased, crosses his arms tightly, shakes his head. After a mid-afternoon recess, Trump is not back, okay? Court breaks, Trump is not back. We get an email from Jeff McConney, so the other guy who was sending emails to Larson, Doug Larson, he sends one to Jack. Okay, so again, Trump org to a loan officer who's going to help them get a loan, 2015. Alan Weisselberg, dad, is copied. Hey, Jack, from McConney. Attached is the 4th loan modification, along with a summary which will tell you how to complete the fair market value rent a few years from now. Then the government says, I want you to identify a signature here. Now, there's a signature on one of these documents. Who is that? Witness says, that's Donald John Trump. But he's not at the table. And they say, well, he was there, but he left. Now, testimony turns back over to 40 Wall Street, and trial ends for the day. Jack Weisselberg is in the middle of a direct exam, and we'll see more about where the story goes. So we'll pick up tomorrow with the cross-examination of this same guy, and we'll see if Trump is back in session. If you want more of the documents, you can get them. This is another Twitter thread that was also good with some more screenshots of some of the documents. And so you can check that out on the mind map. The mind map you can access at robertgovea.com. Sign up for the daily newsletter, get access to the mind map, and you can browse all of this at your leisure. But when Trump was done with the trial, he came out and he communicated that he's very unhappy with what he saw from the judge. And this is what it sounded like.
We have no rights whatsoever. Any company coming to New York would be crazy because it's a setup. It's a rigged trial. We have a hostile group of people. We have a very hostile judge. I hate to say it. We have a very, very hostile judge. And I think everybody knows that, and we see that. But the good thing is we have all of the evidence on our side. They have nothing. And it's a case that should have never been brought. I just read many, many articles saying this case is a disgrace to our nation.
It is a disgrace, along with many other of the trials that are also a disgrace. Of course, my friends, we are going to continue to cover this and more. We've got a lot of trials coming up. We've also got Sidney Powell's coming up starting next week. And so thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing this with a friend or family member so that they can come over and see what is happening. See what these people are doing to Trump, because they're not showing what's happening inside the courtroom elsewhere. And we're grateful to help people wake up to the disgusting behaviors of these people who are prosecuting Trump. We'll continue to cover, my friends. Thank you for subscribing, and we'll see you on the next one. Now, my friends, we've got one final segment on the day to attend to, and Congress is still doing something, even though they can't figure out their speaker situation. Congress is now demanding more documents from Special Counsel Robert Hur. That's the Joe Biden Special Counsel, and they want to know about those documents and the text messages and the emails and everything that was sent by Joe Biden's team, but were done through their private emails, through their personal cell phone records, so that this was all done off the books. The cover-up continues, and Comer wants to have answers, including to get access to those documents that are currently who knows where. And so he sent this letter over from the Committee on Oversight and Accountability. James Comer from Kentucky sent this electronically to the Special Counsel Robert Hur. And we're used to hearing about deranged thug Jack Smith, the Special Counsel for Trump. But this is Robert Hur, the Special Counsel for Biden, who we've not heard much about. But Comer is sending this letter. You can see he signed off on this. He's demanding a bunch of different things. We'll see what's inside. Starting at the top, he says, all right, dear Mr. Robert Hur, Special Counsel, our committee is investigating President Biden's mishandling of classified documents. The committee has developed significant evidence about President Biden's retention of materials at the Penn Biden Center. We've got witness testimony, emails, text message establishing that there were at least 5 current and former White House employees who coordinated accessing the boxes, which contain classified documents between the years of 2021 and 2022, right after Joe Biden was swept into office. The committee is now concerned as to why President Biden has not been fully transparent about the White House's involvement in accessing these materials prior to November 2nd, 2022. And when this all broke, we remember it just felt like we just jumped into the middle of a season. Like, who are these characters? All these people just showed up and they're like, oh yeah, we got classified documents. Weird. But we got it all taken care of, and it's all figured out, and there's no problems at all. It's all solved. So Congress says, as such, we requested certain documents and transcribed interviews from the White House. But recent reports indicate that you, Special Counsel, recently interviewed President Biden at the White House that they didn't tell us about, and other individuals involved in the matter, and the committee now seeks information from your office for our investigation. As detailed in our bank memoranda and in our impeachment inquiry memorandum, evidence suggests that President Biden may have used certain members of his family, particularly his son Hunter, to accumulate millions of dollars from foreign individuals and entities for the benefit of his family and himself. Indeed, the Biden family received millions of dollars from foreign sources while Joe served in public office and afterwards. If any of the classified documents mishandled by Biden involved countries or individuals that had financial dealings with Biden family members or their related companies, the committee needs access to that information to evaluate our national security. Telling Robert Hur, as you may be aware or not, Biden family members, their business associates, and their related companies receive significant payments from individual companies in China, in Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Romania, and others. In addition, other evidence recently released by the Ways and Means Committee also identified over 20 different countries with ties to the Biden family schemes. The committee is concerned that Biden may have retained sensitive documents related to those countries, and we seek to see whether the White House or Biden's personal attorneys placed any limitations or scoping restrictions during your interview with them that would have precluded a line of inquiry about this evidence. So, when you sat down with Joe, did the White House attorneys limit what you could say or ask about? We want to know. Emails, text messages, witness statements, anything directly linking Joe to foreign payments, we need to know. They say, President Biden's retention of certain classified documents begs the question as to why he kept these particular materials. Of the many classified documents he reviewed over his lengthy career, why did the president seek to keep these specific documents in his home and office? The sensitive nature of the information contained in these documents may answer the question for the committee, and that's why we seek to review them. There's also no reasonable explanation as to why 5 White House employees like Dana Remus, Anthony Bernal, Ashley Williams, Annie Tomasini, and some other unidentified employee, or maybe Hunter or something, a DOD employee named Kathy Chung, private lawyers Bob Bauer and Patrick Moore, they were all tasked with obtaining what was purportedly personal documents and not subject to the Presidential Records Act, right? They are just destroying Trump over boxes of documents. And they had a bunch of people do all of this in the dark of night using their personal cell phones, personal emails to just clean this whole thing up, literally cleaning up the crime scene. The evidence shows the White House was concerned about document retention issues prior to November 2nd, and they used significant government resources to obtain the materials, including by FedExing them. So the committee seeks to further understand why Biden retained certain classified documents and if such information related to any of his family's foreign business interactions, and why so many White House people were involved in getting the documents back. So since certain committees of Congress have already reviewed the classified documents at issue, we urge you to cooperate in a timely manner with our investigation. We'll see if that happens. Accordingly, Robert Herb, we respectfully request the following information without redactions given to us. 1, any terms, agreements, or scoping limitations that narrowed what Biden could be asked about during his interview, specifically related to the IRS whistleblowers and others. They also want a copy of the report and the agent's notes from the interview of Biden, a copy of the report and agent's notes from any interview of Dana Remus, who was one of the people who was there first, a list of the countries named in the documents with classification markings that were recovered. Yeah, did they corroborate the Hunter Biden laptop? Do they match? Wouldn't that be good to know? Including the garage at Wilmington and the Penn Biden Center. They also want a list of the individuals named in any documents with classification markings, including the garage, and all documents recovered with classification markings from all the locations. Please let us know when we can come pick these documents up. Sincerely, your friend, James Comer, over to the White House. Now, we'll see if they produce anything. My guess is not. And my other question is, are there any documents, or have they all been shredded and then burned and then dropped to the bottom of the Potomac? We'll have to wait and see. But James Comer, in the middle of the House chaos, is still forging ahead with investigating the Biden crime family. And this is him explaining to us exactly what's happening, not only in the House of Representatives, but also in the Biden crime family investigation.
And all Democrats took out Kevin McCarthy. The speaker's race is still in chaos, with Jim Jordan coming up about a compromise candidate that some Democrats are war. And how did this end up being a good thing, given his views on China investment by U.S. companies?
It's the best deal for America is Jim Jordan. I voted for Jim Jordan today. I'm going to vote for him tomorrow. The Democrats' worst nightmare would be a Speaker Jim Jordan. So any candidate that the Democrats prefer probably isn't in the best interest of most conservative tax-paying Americans. So we're going to keep fighting for Jim Jordan. But again, this highlights the mistake that Matt Gaetz and those 7 other Republicans made, putting us in this position. They worked with every Democrat in here to create this chaos. And We've got to get a speaker. I hope Jim Jordan's our candidate. If not, we're going to have to go back to the drawing board and try to find someone that is a strong conservative that can lead us and do something about runaway spending here in this town.
Yeah, they could never answer. They take it all personally. Our question when this happened that night, Congressman, is explain again how you're going to get someone better than Kevin McCarthy, given the fact that you don't have the votes. And there was never an answer to that. There was like a strategy missing an action strategy.
Yeah, no plan B, no alternative plan. Their goal and objective was to get rid of Kevin McCarthy. They had to work with 220 or 210 Democrats to do that.
Idiotic.
And here we are, 3.5 weeks without a speaker. Hopefully Jim Jordan will get the votes tomorrow.
Well, the left is smearing Jordan, though, ahead of the next speaker vote. Watch this.
He's a terrible member of Congress in terms of what Congress is,
quiet down, Nicole.
He's a terrible lawmaker.
The concern is that not only is he bad at his job, but that he doesn't really support our institutions
from the J6
government.
committee.
I mean, he tried to overthrow the government.
Congressman, there we are, of course. That's what Jim Jordan is.
Yeah, the Democrats know that Jim Jordan would unite this conference and would get serious about runaway spending. I mean, that's what unites Democrats. Republicans are always telling me, it's so frustrating the Democrats stick together. What unites Democrats in this town is spending money. They love to spend money. They spend more money than we take in every year. Jim Jordan would put a stop to that. They know it, and they're going to do everything they can to discredit him over the next 24 hours.
Now, Congressman, really quickly, only about 45 seconds, but you sent a letter to the special counsel's office regarding some of these classified documents that could be in Biden's possession or were in Biden's possession. Tell us that.
We want to know exactly what classified documents Joe Biden had. Look, they've leaked out all the documents that Donald Trump apparently or supposedly mishandled. We don't know anything about Joe Biden. And the reason it's important to me in my investigation, we believe there are certain documents on Hunter Biden's laptop that he emailed to some of these people in these foreign countries who have sent the Bidens millions of dollars. And we want to know whether or not those are part of the documents that Joe Biden mishandled. And so far, they won't tell us anything.
Yeah, amazing. So we did see that. Hunter wrote these like really elaborate emails, right? He's a crackhead, but he would like write these Ukraine analyses. They would be like, by the way, they've got a high uranium deposit located in the southwest corridor at mile marker 12. And if we invest in uranium extraction there, we'll be able to parlay that into the global markets. And you're like, what the heck? Hunter doesn't even know where he is most of the time. So it's a very strange thing. We're going to see if Comer gets to the bottom of it. And the question is this going to show up in the report at all, right? Can Robert Hur find out any of this, or has all the data already been shredded and deleted by the people who were there cleaning up the crime scene? And so, my friends, of course, we are going to continue to cover this and more. We're glad that Congress is continuing to investigate, even in spite of the chaos that we're observing, and we'll continue to cover. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for joining us as we cover this and more, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. All right, my friends. Well, that is it for us on the day. Now it is time to hear from you and to see what you have to say about all of this. But we did cover some good ground. Congress looking into the Bidens. Trump really had a pretty good day in trial today, despite, the sham show trial it is, as good as it can get in a sham circus show trial. And Rashida Tlaib led the Intifada insurrection into the Capitol, and we covered that at length. But now, my friends, it is time to hear from you to see what you have to say about this. Of course, for our members, stick around. We're going over, after we're done here, to our members-only after party where we'll hang out and debrief this stuff even further. And if you'd like to join us, we do a lot of fun stuff. We have member-only streams in the morning. We had a great stream this morning talking about the speaker battle in real time. And so if you missed that stuff, come and join us, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. You can also join as a YouTube member, get access to our private Telegram group, get access to the after party through that group. Just navigate to the community tab section and navigate down to grab the link. Our new website, Robert Gouveia, it's not that new anymore, but robertgouveia.com. Check this out, my friends. We've got PDFs now on the website. So if you go to reports, for example, we covered the classified documents yesterday. There are PDFs there, baby. Ooh, look at that. We got all three of them right there on the screen in addition to the full report. All right. And so shout out to our team. Shout out to Marvin and David, the crew who's helping us put this together. And thank you guys for helping us support our work here. We can continue to build this infrastructure out. So our PDFs, including the red lines, are going to be on all of these. So if you want to download them, you certainly can. The full documents there, all courtesy of robertgovea.com. And so we're excited about that. And we're continuing to improve. We're working on the website. So robertgovea.com is a good place to check that out. But now let's hear from you and see what you have to say about all of this and more. Jumping into locals. Hey, MAGA Hat Stays says the DOJ filed to try to get greater sentences for the Proud Boys. I know, those bloodthirsty maniacs over there. It's not enough for them. The 10 years, the 18 years, the 22 years is not enough. They need more. They need more because they're prosecutors. The Rubos! Check this out. Okay, so the Rubos, my friends, if you have not, look, I don't know what kind of salt you're having in your house, right? If you have like Morton's or something, let's step it up here, okay? Rubos Salt Shop is this stuff right here. It's very good. It's very delicious. Put it on your eggs. Put it on whatever you put your stuff on. But it, class it up. Class your salt up a little bit. It's good for you. It's healthy, and the Rubos do great work, including they are sending out 10 4-packs of Rubos salt. So if you ever ordered Rubos salt, and many of us on Locals have, you'll see it comes in these beautifully crafted packages, and the Rubos were so gracious that they donated 10 4-packs of salt to Eric's House Donos, and they're sending them all out. And so we're so grateful to you, the Rubos. Thank you for supporting Eric's House. Thank you for contributing those to the cause. And my friends, if you haven't already, check them out, rubossaltshop.com. It's good stuff. This one is French gray salt, the finest gourmet cooking sea salt you could ever find. Do you want to know what the ingredients are? Here, let me tell you. Sal de Gris, and it's from Guérande, France. Okay? I don't know where your salt comes from. Mine comes from France. So, how about that? Thank you to the Rubos. rubossaltshop.com. rubossaltshop.com. rubossaltshop.com is the address. And thank you for that one from the Rubos. We love you guys. Dolphin Fan is the man, bringing in membos. Ooh, 5 new membos courtesy of Dolphin Fan is the man, bringing in B Grouch. Tsunami Tommy's in the house. The Blind Lawyer Explains is here. What's up, the Blind Lawyer? I know who that is. Salty Mexican is here. Oh, shout out to that person. And Jill Kindle is also in the house. Welcome aboard, courtesy of Dolphin Fan is the man, bringing in 5 new membos. We're grateful for you, Dolphin. Thank you. And welcome, everybody. Shy is here. Says, isn't she covered by the speech and debates clause? Who? Rashida? You could make that argument. Sure, you can make that argument, but I mean, you can make the argument that Trump is executively privileged and all sorts of things, and they just crap all over those arguments. But for Rashida, I think that still, like, can you threaten the president? I mean, I would, if this was a Trump type of representative, they'd absolutely be questioning and prosecuting them, or if this was Trump himself, as we are witnessing. But yeah, you're right. Like, the Congress people do have that, but they still, they breach attorney-client privilege for Trump. They breach reading discovery for Trump. Like, all of the immunities and privileges just go right out the window when you're dealing with a political prosecution. Great question. Devin Knox says, was this planned and permitted? If not, it's an insurrection. Couldn't agree with you more. As far as I could tell, it didn't look planned. Marjorie Taylor Green looked a little bit rattled, a little nervous, under attack from an insurrection. She wasn't hiding under her desk like AOC allegedly was, but you get the point. Yeah, they interfered with Congress, and there's a number of criminal statutes that you could absolutely charge them with. Look who's here. Quantum Thug Life, thugging it out in multiple dimensions, is in the house. Sharon inviting in Karen V, Manuel F, Saintly Beginnings is coming in. We got Rocky in the house, along with Chris C joining us, courtesy of Quantum Thug Life. Thank you very much, Quantum. Hopefully you're existing in an evenly distributed state out there. We've got Knox Bierman says, okay, glad to be home for the show. I do understand the irony and hypocrisy, but as an old hippie lady, I am glad to see some anti-war protest, even if it is contrived. Don't hate. No hate, no hate. No hate. I'm for anti-war protest, but I don't know if that's exactly what those people were for. Like in all honesty. And I know what you're saying, Knox. I know what you're saying. It's funny. It's a funny comment. It's like, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. But it's, I don't know if they really want a ceasefire. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's what they really want. I don't know if it's ultimately anti-war. It just feels like it's agitating for war under the guise of being anti-war. But I understand your position, and I am anti-war. I don't like war. I want people to stop dying. I want them to stop dying. We've got Teeny BB's here. Says it's very important that we on the right not try to counter this Tlaib-led insurrection. They're trying to bait us as soon as we gather. Bam, arrested. I think that's true. I think that's true. I think that they are waiting to instigate something that they can blame on the right again. And this is not very convenient for them because Christopher Wray and the DOJ just got done lecturing us for multiple years about white supremacy taking over the country. And that's not at all what I think they're seeing here. And there's a real big conflict for them. Is this something that they can accept? Because Joe Biden has laid, and we're going to hear from him in any minute now. Not here on the show, but he's going to do a speech. And we're going to see, right, what side he's on. He's talking what side team he's on, what team they're on. And I think that this is a conflict within the Democratic Party. They're going to have to rectify this. And so, when your opponents are flailing around, almost hitting themselves, you got to let them do it. Look at this one from Voice of the People. Oh my goodness, Voice of the People. Look at this. 50 members coming in the House. 50 members. Oh my goodness. So brace yourself, my friends. Thank you, Voice, for doing this in. And hey, all these new members, make sure you grab the Telegram link. Join us on Telegram. Go to the community tab section. Download it. We'll see you in the after party. Woo! All right, Voice, let's do it, my friend. Thank you for donating. We got M.A. Allen. We've got, oh gosh, I screwed it up already. Let's do it again. All right. We got Nuclear. We got Shadow. Mikey's here. Brian E. Twice Upon a Time. Honey Bear. Mark LaForest. Tina C. Ryan H. K.M. Christine's here. Super Trump 2020. Matthew L. Brunk Dartender is here. Calboa D. also joining us, courtesy of Voice of the People. We now have Southern Comfort. Michael M. Akbar's here. Chuck R. Simon H. Prince Vibes. Lovely Uni. Kitchen Mortician is here. Abin McLaughlin is here. McClanahan. Good to see you, Abin. Gloria B. Matt. Rob A. James H. Dark Energy. Vignoda is here. And Lee is also in the house. We've got Caleb H. X-Tans. Sammy, Pyramid 7, Susan B, Villainy Fortitude, Ms. J, Sodium S, Sodium Soldier, Celsify, Bozina Z, Eric C, Tupac Shakur. Oh my gosh. Tupac's here. Man, I love Tupac. I was going to recite some of his language, but I'm not going to say it. This is a family show. Little old me's here. Baby Cakes, Timothy Wilson, CDX, Mike, and Irene Abbott, all coming in courtesy of Voice of the People. Oh my goodness. Voice, thank you so much for doing that, my friend. Super incredible, super generous. Our friend, Voice of the People, in the house, bringing in some new members and spreading the good work that we do. So welcome aboard, and really, thank you, Voice. Super generous of you and a lot of fun. So, my friends, we'll have a members-only morning stream tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Thursday? Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday. My days are all mixed up. Thanks, Voice. We got Teeny BB's here. Teeny BB 1983 says yesterday, Makina Maui Realty sent super chats, so I have to represent the island of Kauai. Shout out to Kauai. Shout out to Kauai. Man, I think now we've got, I probably have to make a trip out to the Hawaiian Islands, huh? And just travel around and say hi to everybody. Go say hi to Makina Maui Realty on Maui. Maybe look at some real estate. Not today, I can't afford it. But Teeny BB, maybe another time. we'll go hang out on Kauai. Sounds fun. Thank you, Teeny Vivi. Thank you for saying that. And shout out to our friends on Kauai. We've got 66 Anton. Says maybe that guy was just checking out Marjorie Taylor Greene's big Latina booty. Her juicy booty, right? But I don't think she's Latina. I think. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. But maybe he was. You never know. Jennifer Newman says, so appreciate your daily updates and recaps. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate you being a member. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for the donos to keep the show on the track. I appreciate it. And I'm grateful that you're here and joining us. We've got Pinochet's Helicopter Tours is in the house. Says, I try to game ahead. It's my OCD tick. Very good skill set to have. Did Congress pull a Kaiser Soze on us to protect pay for play? Boot the speaker. Jeffrey takes it, closes the inquiry. Yeah, Kaiser Soze, you may know that movie from The Usual Suspects, one of the best movies ever, by the way. Mahalo to our Hawaiian family, says the Rubos over there. Says, did Congress pull a Kaiser Soze? We all got tricked. We all got played. Spoiler alerts. In other words, they created this insurrection to try to deviate the speaker vote or something. I don't know. But I do think that, yes, I think that if they, like, honestly, if they can keep Patrick Henry in there and they can work out a deal, we've been concerned about this from day one, that some deal is going to be in place to stop the Biden Inquisition because they really don't want that to happen. C. John, we got so many new members today. C. John, thank you for this, my friend. Look, 10 more coming in. Bobby M, Will P, Sue's Mad, Audio Wizards here, Kathy R, James N, G-Men, Michael H, Lucky Lady, and NY Renal MD, who's over on Locals as well, is joining us, courtesy of C. John. C. John, thank you so much for sending that in and bringing in 10 new membos. We got SD 1985 says, was there a response to Trump's motion on presidential immunity? Not that we've read. Maybe there was one that came in. I saw a new file. Let's look. We're looking. We're pulling it up. Trump's, that was the J6 case. And no, there has not been a response. Okay, so this was the gag order hearing. That was the filing, minute entry, motion for discovery on the 11th. No, I don't think there was a response. But they just filed a response today. So yesterday we read the SEPA motion. Am I on the right case? Yeah, I think we are. But no, I have not seen anything. But there is this one, which maybe we'll talk about tomorrow, which is the response to the SEPA filing, which is the motion that we covered yesterday. I don't think that there has been a response to that motion. But was that this case or was that Georgia? That actually might have been Georgia. I got my lines crossed. I'm not sure. I don't remember. SD, when there is a response, we'll definitely cover it. So thanks for checking back and thanks for asking about it. Deep Sea Miners here says, hi. Well, hello, Deep Sea Miner. Thanks for being a member on Locals. Grateful to have you. And Jack Mack is here. Says, missed the entire stream. Oh man, Jack, we missed you. It's not the same. Says, in Saudi Arabia, but hope to catch up soon. Oh my goodness. So much going on. Yeah, in Saudi Arabia in particular. So we actually were talking about Saudi Arabia this morning because Mohammed bin Salman snubbed Anthony Blinken. We talked about that this morning, Jack. You're a member, so that was on the morning stream. Hopefully you're doing okay over there. You're in a very tense part of the world right now. So be safe. Says, does Trump have any recourse on the against the gag order? And yeah, he does. Now, is it going to be fruitful is a different story. But Jack, so I know you've been busy, but we did the live stream on yesterday's show talking about that specifically. In fact, one of the videos should drop any minute, but Trump is appealing it already. In fact, it's here. We did this on the show yesterday. So if you go up to the mind map, which everybody has access to if you sign up for it, on the 1017 show, which was yesterday, we did this segment, Trump appeals the Chutkan gag order. And we talked about the appeal and the actual order. All right, so both of those were on yesterday's show if you want to catch that. So, Jack, be safe out there. Jack Mack over in Saudi Arabia. And now, my friends, let's say hello to our friends on the X and see who's over there. We also are posting our segments on X, so if you want to follow us on X and watch the segments, you can certainly do that. Here's what they look like. And some of them are getting some pretty good traction, so we can post the full videos now. 25, this one's getting some good boosts. So it's cool if you want to come over there, comment in there, meet some other fellow watchers. We also have our community now, Watching the Watchers on X, where you can come and join in over there and meet some other people and say hello and what's up. But now, let's see who is joining us on the X platform. We've got 5 viewers here today, which is out of control. It's almost 10. And a couple comments. Danny McWilliams says, I think it's all the Swiss's fault. It's probably. Yes, they're trying to take over the world. Bob says, Alina Abba looks like she got some fashion line clothing design ideas from Melania and Ivanka. And she looked good today in the little, turtleneck. Chad says, Chad Rogers, if she's against funding wars, she should be inside supporting Jim Jordan. Ooh, good comment. And Giovanni says, the U.S. needs to stay out of the conflict and support Israel, however Israel chooses to deal with the situation. From Giovanni over on the X. UNC says, her fake tears hit different. Forgot my name says, keep up the great work. And Robert Carrington says, Rob, I'm pissed at all this nonsense. People should be kicked out of Congress. And so all those got censored over on the X. But thank you, my friends, for sending those over on the X and for following along and connecting with your fellow watchers over there. But we are done for the day. And so members, stick around. We're going to be doing our members only after party. YouTube friends, join us on Telegram. But that is it for us on the day. Want to say shout out to the mods and the meme smiths who mod down the fort for us on the day. We got John McGarvey clipping for us. Donut Mind Me. And I see some John Allen over there. Thank you, John. And everybody modding down the fort for us, including the Anticus Prime, K-Bean, Just Cause, Playin' Hooky, Ronnie Cole, Zulu, Beyond Geo, Zach Nichols, John Allen, Janek 909, Dog Digger, Donut Mind Me, John McGarvey, and our amazing meme smiths, Sleepy Dog Lee, Geegum Geegum, and Nathan N810. And look at this one from Voice of the People. To Voice of the People. This one came in from our friend Geegum Geegum, the amazing meme smith. A nice GIF that we're pulling up for Voice of the People, saying thank you for the 50 membos. Screen is loading, and here it is. Boom, over from locals. From Voice of the People, you rock. Boom, bing. 50 gifted membos. And that's Bodie, one of our local real good boys on our locals community. Shout out to Bodie in the house. We love Bodie. All right, and thank you, Voice. And thank you, Gigam, for throwing that together so fast. Pretty amazing. All right, so we've got some good comments to attend to, as you can see, over on our locals and our members only after party. But we are going to leave it there on the day, my friends. We will be back here tomorrow to get into it all again. And it's going to be a lovely Thursday. And we hope to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. See you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.